giving you an opportunity to get the full story from the people who tell it best. This is Mediacom News Leaders.
And welcome to Mediacom News Leaders. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Carol Kelly. Joining us today from the National Czech and Slovak Museum and Library, we've got Dr. Cecilia Rokusek. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Now, you are new to Eastern Iowa. Tell us a little bit about you.
Absolutely. Well, it's actually been 3.5 months now, so I'm sort of new, but I moved here from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. But I am a South Dakota native. Before everybody gets all excited, how are you going to tolerate the cold weather? I spent the majority of my life in South Dakota, and we moved to Florida about 20 years ago. So now we're back in sort of the real Midwest.
And you're working now to just really bring to the forefront the National Czech and Slovak Museum and Library. And tell us a little bit about some of the things you're working on.
Well, you know, the museum and library has a fabulous foundation, and they've weathered probably one of the major storms in their life in terms of when they made the big move, and now I say that we're stronger and bigger than ever, and thanks to a great team and a great board and a community in Cedar Rapids that really helped to make this national icon and really international icon what it is today. And I think probably the three biggest things on the forefront right now are, number one, as of the new year, we are an affiliate of the Smithsonian. We're extremely proud of that. Amazing. And our team started the initiative, and I was just lucky enough to come and finalize it. And so we are now officially an affiliate of the Smithsonian, which really brings us the national and international attention, and not only to the museum and library, but to the whole community. So we're very proud of that. Secondly, we are very excited about one of the new exhibits that we're opening up now in February. It's Revolution 1989. Which really commemorates the fall of communism in terms of Czechoslovakia and what happened and what the strife and the challenges that the people went through to come to the present day of freedom in the two independent countries of the Czech Republic and Slovak Republic. So we're very proud of that. And then we have a number of other events that are coming up later on in the year, but one that I'm extremely excited about is we're going to have in the fall an exhibit called From Metal to Strings to Metal. The exhibit's going to feature guitars, and we're going to look at Czech and Slovak, especially the dobra, which is a Slovak guitar, but we really want to focus on the history of the guitar and what music, because music certainly was important to all cultures, and in particular the Czech and Slovaks, so we want to share that. And I think all of our exhibits that we have planned, and I won't go through them all for the new year and for the future, really celebrate all heritages, just coming not only from the Czech and Slovak background, but all heritages and how our connections are similar. And that's what we're really all about.
So, new CEO and president of the Museum and Library, tell us a little bit about your vision. Kind of, what do you take on, and what are you going to champion as part of your legacy?
Well, I think to make a solid foundation for the long-term future. I think, as I mentioned earlier, we've weathered a major storm in terms of after the flood, and now I think we have to continue to build our legacy for the future and make this national, international icon for Cedar Rapids an ongoing, almost infinite kind of cultural center and library for the community, the region, and the rest of the country and world. So I think it's to build a solid foundation, number one, and number two, I think to help bring the Czech and Slovak exhibits, programs that really are relevant to all cultures, so that we can learn from the history of the Czechs and Slovaks and adapt it and really talk about other cultures. And in today's world economy and world global strife, there's so many lessons to be learned. And so I think that the museum is in a real ideal place to help bridge that. And then I think thirdly, to become a real center for lifelong education. Our staff are doing a wonderful job of really educating our young people, and our museum is open to around 20,000 visitors a year, but we really see our role as being lifelong education, sort of from birth to death, and to have programs that are relevant for all ages. So those are the kinds of things that I see.
Talk to us a little bit. I want to talk about the Smithsonian designation. What does that mean exactly for the community?
Well, I think it's a national designation and actually international recognition that it really pays tribute to our outstanding programs and our outstanding really museum and library that we've built, and also does allow us to utilize some of their exhibits, to utilize some of their on a borrowed basis, of course. And in the same respect, if we should have something of a national Czech and Slovak cultural significance that they want to borrow, we can have an exchange. So that's number one. Number two, it allows us to participate in their programs of education, and also to look at their consulting, that they have a number of consultants that can help us as a National Museum and Library, and also scholars, to look at the scholar program. They have a Fulbright Scholar, Smithsonian Scholar Program. So I think we can really utilize many of their resources, not financial, of course. That's, they are, that's their, but we do not get financially any resources from them, but I think the real benefit is the cultural exchange and exhibits, potential exhibits.
Currently, right now, you are looking at a strategic plan. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
Or you're completing a strategic plan.
We had a 2015 to 2019 strategic plan, so we're actually in the final stages of our 2019 strategic plan. And we will be embarking right now this year on plans to start a new strategic plan for 2020 to 2024. So we'll be going through this year of planning and hopefully to introduce then that new strategic plan in 2020.
How are we doing? Are we accomplishing the things that you were set to accomplish in those years?
Absolutely. The 2015 to 2019 strategic plan had some real targets of education for children, which we are doing great work. We're working with programs like Iowa Big. We're working with Metro School. We're working with all our area schools. So certainly our program of education for the youth is really exceeding. We educate between 3,000 and 4,000 young people a year through the museum, and thanks to the support of everyone. And that's really, I think, remarkable, because museums and libraries now are really educational entities. I think historically, if you look at museums, thousands of years ago, they were just for the elite and the rich and for those highly educated, and now we see museums as being the education center point for all people. So I think that's, so we did accomplish that. Then we're working on a very exciting project with an author, a Czech author, to develop a book and maybe even a storybook trail for children in the future. That's on target. We've got a little bit of time with that one yet. So we really have accomplished all of our key targets in terms of quality exhibits, and to really then, one of the other points of the strategic plan that we're just accomplishing was to look at the special anniversaries that we just celebrated. For example, 100 years, we just celebrated in 2018, 100 years of formation of Czechoslovakia from 1918. And so now we have a lot of historical events to celebrate and programs and exhibits. They've accomplished them all. So now we're looking to building that new strategic plan.
Let's talk a little bit about, the museum and library right now. Current exhibits, what should people expect when they walk through the door? Okay,
well, we have a full year planned. All of our exhibits are planned. We're already starting 2020 and 2021,
wow.
So I can fill you in. In February, we're going to be announcing formally the Smithsonian, February 8th and 9th, so that's going to be a big celebration. And then we are having the opening of Revolution 1989, which will be a major exhibit in the Petrick Gallery. And then we are going to, in April, we have two openings, one in second week of April. We're going to have a wonderful photography exhibit from Slovakia, and it's Slovak infants in our ethnic wear, in our folk wear, and it's really a phenomenal photography exhibit. I call it our Slovak infant exhibit, but it's really a lullaby. It's a beautiful exhibit. And then at the end of April, we're having a meeting of all the Slovak honorary consuls from around the United States are coming here, and the ambassador, the new Slovak ambassador from Washington, is coming, and he's going to open our Berlin Wall exhibit. Now that's going to be a major one. Our education department is working with Metro School, High School, to build a Berlin Wall partially around the museum, because this is the year, of course, when the Berlin Wall came down, and so we're commemorating that big event when it came down, when Ronald Reagan, in his famous last words, Mr. Gorbachev, take down that wall, and in November we are going to take down the wall. And so we are going to be building a wall, and because the Slovak ambassador was the ambassador to Germany, he's going to open that exhibit and open that Berlin Wall in April 26th, the end of April. Then we have, we'll be continuing the 1989 exhibit. Then we have the Strings to Metal exhibit with the guitar coming up in mid to late summer. And then we have another exhibit that we're very proud of, coming around the holidays next year, of nativity scenes, various wooden handmade nativity scenes. That's coming up. And then throughout all the exhibits, we have a number of musical programs. We'll be having a classical guitarist from the Czech Republic, Vladislav Blaha, will be coming in the fall. Then we have a number of other exhibits, programs that will complement the exhibits. So, for example, when we have the infant Croy, that's what we call our folkware Croy, we are going to have probably the national expert on folkware from Florida, Helene Sensibo. She has over 5,000 pieces of ethnic Czech and Slovak folkware. She's coming to give a sort of a lecture and educational program with that. So not only do we have these various exhibits, but we also have a number of programs. And then in November, the Slovak Embassy has kindly consented to donate to us a bust of Stefanik, who was a leader in Slovakia and in sort of the movement, what was going on in Slovakia. He worked for the French Army, and they're going to donate a bust to us for our library. And then we have some wonderful Czech programs coming along. So we're really trying to keep alive our Czech and Slovak. We're going to have some Czech foreign films coming in. We're talking today just with the Czech Embassy about an exhibit they have on World War II from the Czech Embassy. So we have a number of sort of smaller exhibits and programs sort of entwined with our regular larger exhibits.
I don't know how you keep it all straight.
Well, sometimes I wonder myself, but it's a full program. We're very excited.
Where can someone learn about everything you've talked about?
Well, I think we have a website that you can simply go to, www.ncsml, National Czech Slovak Museum and Library.org, and all the programs are there month by month. And certainly we encourage people now to join, because once you are a member, you get our programs, you get activities. Then we have programs that are for members only sometimes, special programs, so that's a great way. And then we have a number of programs for people in the community who just want to learn about the Czech and Slovak culture, or want, for example, the Old World Christmas Market is coming up again, and the Brunost, the big event that we have in September, the Brunost, that brings 1,000 people to the museum. And then we have the Summer Music Fest. So those are sort of long-standing events that are community. But one of the things that I think is often interesting for me as a newcomer to Cedar Rapids, I'll be in a store and I'll say, "Have you been to the National Czech and Slovak Museum?" And they'll say, "Oh, it's a great place, but I've never been there."
Yes.
So I really want to encourage people to visit this national real treasure that we have here, and to become part of our community here in this national wonderful museum that we have.
And let's talk about that too. Just, hours, obviously location, very easy to find, parking. Let's talk a little bit about that, just a day experience of visiting the museum.
Well, we're open every day till 4:30, and we're even open on most holidays, and check out the website for exact dates. But and parking, I'm so glad you asked that, because we have this wonderful underground parking underneath the building.
Wow.
And so when it's cold like now, you can just park your car and go right up on the elevator, and you never have to go outside. And we have very good handicapped accessibility, so that people who may have a challenging disability, they can park underground, use the door, no steps, and come right in. And there's an elevator there. We even have wheelchairs if people need a wheelchair right by the entrance. So that accessibility is not a problem. And we are open Monday through Sunday. We have no holidays, except, of course, Christmas and the major holidays. But just check out our website for exact times and dates. But we are open almost every day.
And you do have those signature events. Again, where can someone go to learn a little bit more about everything that you
The best
have
place is our website, and there's an icon events, and there's a calendar, and to just check it out, and you'll be able to see.
I see what you did there.
There you go. Thank you. And you can see all, and things are added, programs are added, and I think that's the best way. And to be sure that you look at all of these wonderful events that we have throughout the year is really important.
And in reply to someone who says, "Oh, I've never been. It's a beautiful space, but I've never been," what do you say?
I'm going to say, please come, because you might find a connection to the culture that you never thought. I think people still believe I have to be Czech or Slovak to go there. Absolutely not. We are just the centerpiece for you to explore what your heritage might be.
Well, it is absolutely a pleasure. Welcome to Eastern Iowa, and we hope to see you at the museum very soon. Thanks for joining us.
Look forward to welcoming you. Thank you.
This has been Mediacom News Leaders, your opportunity to get the full story from the most reliable sources exclusively on Mediacom News Leaders.